Welcome to It's No Secret, a podcast for Kiwis who want their money questions answered.
Ready, steady, go.
This podcast will answer the money questions you may or may not have on your mind. We'll talk to real Kiwis and share truths about our own financial lives.
Both the successes and the failures. Because the truth is, there is no secret to achieving financial freedom.
Hello and welcome to It's No Secret. I'm Christine.
And I'm Kat.
And today on the podcast, we'll be chatting about 5 simple actions you can take when it comes to your money this month. Now,
why?
Why?
What's happening this month?
Sort of a random topic.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Well, this month is Money Month. So Sorted, who is also the Retirement Commission of New Zealand, runs an annual kind of campaign to raise awareness about money to help Kiwis be better with their finances generally.
Yeah.
And that takes place from the 1st to the 31st of August every year. And since we're now in August, we thought, why not take the opportunity to have a chat about money. That's what the point of this podcast is about. But talk about some key, actionable steps that you can take that are like very easy and very applicable, because it's all about getting started in terms of improving your financial position or money or habits, all of the above. So just wanted to, before we get into those, shout out to what Sorted is actually doing as part of this campaign. So one of the key things that they're doing is they're running a range of webinars, which I think is really cool and accessible to everyone in New Zealand, because it doesn't matter where you are, you just need to have access to the technology to be able to do that. So they're doing 4 on the 7th, 14th, 21st and 28th of August. And the topics range from how to get debt free to how to stay covered and protected financially to also investing in KiwiSaver and things like that. We will chuck a link in the podcast bio for anyone that's interested. Yeah, really worth tuning in, taking an hour out of your day.
And checking out their resources. They've got lots of, we obviously talk about them a fair bit, but like guides, calculators, tools. So I think, as we talk through the tips today to figure out how to pause and get sorted, which is their little theme, tagline of this month, is absolutely valid to go and check out the website and use some of the tools. They've put, heaps of great calculators and financial resources that people can use that, as you say, are accessible to everybody, no matter your situation or where you are on your money journey.
Yes, love it. Great.
Okay, so what am I doing in Money Month?
Okay. We're taking action. It's all about doing one thing to take you closer.
But I think also important to preface that the reason we wanted to talk about this is because often it's the taking action part where people fall down because they start to feel too overwhelmed, or they don't know where to start, or they've never done this before, or like myself right now, you have done this before, but you're just buying into all the excuses that you throw at yourself to not focus on it. Like I'm too busy, or I'm okay, I don't need to focus on it. Like I'm surviving. I'm not like underwater, but there's no real impetus. And so, yes, we're trying to throw some simple steps that you can do to actually action something, so that if you do one money-based thing in August to improve your situation or touch base on where you're at, that's a positive. That's a win.
It's a win. Love it. Great. So number 1 is take stock of where you're at. Start by creating a personal balance sheet. Now, Kat, why and how would I put this together? Because I feel like you are the master of personal balance sheets, based on, from what I've seen anyway.
So let's start with like the easiest way to do this through to potentially the more complex, because I'm sure we have listeners out there who, on the whole spectrum. So the easiest way would literally just be to sit down with a piece of paper, preferably in a notebook so you don't lose it. You can refer back to it at a future point in time. But put down on a piece of paper, basically a list in one column, write down the page, what are all the things that you currently have as assets. So for that, we're talking about savings accounts, a KiwiSaver balance, an investment balance if you have that, any type of property, cash, a term deposit. We're talking about assets first.
Sorry.
Positives. So they're your financial assets, but then you also want to capture your lifestyle assets, because there are things in your life that are valuable to you that factor into your personal balance sheet, but they're technically like lifestyle assets. So this would be something like a car. Maybe you have a bike or a motorbike, or you have, I don't know, like a lot of contents. Maybe you have a lot of gear. Yeah, maybe you have like an expensive camping setup. Like something that, for me, I would put something on my balance sheet in the lifestyle section if it cost over sort of like $2,000 as a bigger lump sum, if that makes sense. Also important for, the ladies out there, it's like if you've got an engagement ring or, kind of stuff that it's like these are the things that you would insure, and these are also the things that you want to capture their value because let's say, heaven forbid you get hit by a bus or there's, everything gets stolen from your house. It's the stuff that you'd want to show like your insurance company basically or be able to show that you have. So they're your lifestyle.
Like a track record.
Exactly. They're your lifestyle assets. Now, the dream state is obviously that you want to have more financial assets than you do lifestyle assets, but we won't get into that right now because the purpose of this is just creating a balance sheet. So they're your assets. So write all those things down, then make your best effort to associate a current market value. Very important, not necessarily the price you paid for the item, but the current value. So what it's currently worth on market, which is what you would have to what you would get if you had to sell it. You can be really conservative and go fire sale value. Some people would be like, well, if I had to sell my car tomorrow, I'd sell it. I'd take 15,000, but it's actually worth like 25. Whereas, so I think that's kind of your gut feel. You choose whether you're going hardcore fire sale or realistic market value. And then you put all of those numbers on the same page and then you tally that up at the bottom. Now, if you're not using a piece of paper, you could do this in Excel.
Love that.
Free, easy way to do this, Google Sheets if you don't have access. You could do it on Numbers if you're on like an Apple device or you could just tally it up on like notes on your phone and chuck all the numbers in a calculator and sum them at the bottom. So just basically keep it somewhere where you can refer back to it, and then you want to total that number and you get your total assets. Then below that you want to list through all the things that are a negative or a debt associated with either the assets that you've put on your balance sheet or any other personal debt. So this would be basically, if you think through the assets, it's like, okay, if you've put a home there, do you have a mortgage associated with that home? If you've put a car, do you have a car loan? If you have put, lifestyle assets, do you have a personal loan? So you want to cover everything that's currently in a deficit, including credit cards, including what's that stuff that we really don't? I was like, that we just don't like. You knew what I meant. Buy now, pay laters. It could be loans to family members. Also important to include a student loan if that is there for you. So basically, every personal entity that you own money to, and then that is also just getting the current value of that. So that's kind of the easy part because you know the current value, right? You can look that up in your accounts or wherever that might be, and then you total that. And in an ideal world, you have an asset number that is greater than your total liabilities number, and therefore you're in what's called the black and your balance sheet is looking good. If we are in a negative, it's what's called in the red and your balance sheet is not looking so great. But the important point is to have a balance sheet so that you can basically just get a snapshot stock take. I know you and I are both in the camp of keeping this in an Excel spreadsheet because we like to have a digital record that we can basically timestamp, and maybe money month is the year in which you timestamp it. Some people would do it at the start of the year or the end of the year, but maybe it's every August and you check in on the 1st of August and then you leave it for a year and check in again on the 1st of August in 2025.
I think a year is a nice for the whole picture as well. I think it's slightly different to maybe everyday expenses and understanding, how you're going.
Exactly.
I think it's things like that. I love checking in with my net worth as well. It's so much fun. Is
it a motivating factor for you?
I think it is now. Maybe not. It didn't used to be, and I think that maybe it can be a bit of a reality check in a lot of ways. But I think a part of it is also kind of being honest with yourself, and I think coming back to the point that you made around like being realistic rather than maybe overdoing it to be like, oh, maybe I could get 30,000 for that car that's actually worth 20.
Yes.
So I think it's probably you can do further research, like look on Trade Me to see how much that you could sell it for and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Something I wanted to say is I include, because we don't own a home, we include our bond and our rent
that's fair.
in our apartment as well, which I think, so try to really get granular as well, and where you might have money scattered all over the place, I guess.
Definitely. Definitely. So I think this is a really good starting point for just, if there's one thing that's just simple for everybody to do to take stock of where they are, whether they've had a balance sheet in the past or this is a totally new exercise for you, it's basically just, taking stock to see where you're at right now. And then from that, you're going to have a pretty good gut feel reaction of like, are we feeling positive about this? Are we feeling negative? If we're feeling positive, okay, cool. cool. Is there anything else that we want to move forward with? But if we're feeling negative, probably more important because, okay, that means we potentially need to take some action, which kind of leads us on to our other points a bit later down in this chat.
Yes, nice.
So what other actions one might take?
Well, do you want to do the average net worth first?
Yeah, let's talk about average net worth because we love shouting out Money Hub.
Yes.
Money Hub have some great stats. And I think also like personal balance sheet, really important to highlight it is personal. Yeah. This is not here for the purposes of comparison. Yeah. However, I think it is sometimes helpful to have a reference point to your point of like, if you do a balance sheet exercise and you feel really negative, how do you know if you should be feeling as negative about your current situation as having you are, you know? And so having some reference point is really great. Money Hub do have a average net worth across New Zealand in terms of individual like median net worth in age brackets, which is really helpful. So we will link to that in the show notes because I think that that's something that we can kind of work through. But as you would expect, you know, you would anticipate that your net worth increases as your age also increases. Yeah. So please don't come in hot if you're like 25 expecting it to be skyrocketing. Yeah. But yeah, just probably one kind of call out because I think most of our listeners are in this category. If I'm looking at this little chart here, sort of those in the 25 to 34 age category, what's that? 34,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Net worth. So, you know, I don't even know if that's super high. I was about to say not super high, but I don't feel like that's a fair judgment call. I think that that's just probably like it is what it is. There's a lot of people that are 25 that probably have like savings and that's it and no other assets, you know, or still working towards that because they're only at the start of their working career. Yeah. Then a fairly significant jump from the next age category of 35 to 44 and it goes up to the median individual net worth being $117,000. Yeah. So that just really shows it's like you're in that transitional phase in your mid to late 20s of actually
life's expensive as well.
Life's expensive.
Having kids and like
but also
you're building
like
as well.
You've probably made a bit of a dent into your career in terms of like income earning ability therefore actually having some potential surplus or discretionary to put to work.
Yeah, definitely. And it's exponential, right? And that's what this graph and trend shows is that it's really like not linear. You know, it builds over time and then suddenly the curve changes, hopefully.
Exactly. Exactly. So, good check-in. Nice. This has reminded me that I should do this. I love checking my balance sheet. I'm going to do this afternoon.
Okay, nice. Love it. Cats, walking the talk.
This is my homework for today. Yeah. Okay, talk to me about our second tip. So what other action could I take?
Tip number 2 kind of like builds off the back of the first tip. So it's just one that I have done recently is revamping your banking buckets to align with your goals and values. So it's basically kind of creating a budget for yourself or what Ramit Sethi likes to call as a conscious spending plan. And that can be reflected in the way that you structure your banking, you know, your bank accounts and investment accounts and all that kind of thing. So the structure that he uses is fixed expenses, which includes rent, utility, regular bills and groceries, those types of things, is around 50 to 60% of your total income after tax. And then the next bucket is guilt-free spending. So that's dining out, clothes, activities, anything that's kind of fun money is around 20%. Short-term savings, which can be things like going on holidays, or he buckets saving for a house deposit because if you're a regular listener of the pod, you'll know that we see that as a lifestyle asset if you're living in your home, not necessarily an investment. And then, so that's 10%. And then long-term investments, so that could be your KiwiSaver or just investing outside of KiwiSaver for your retirement or future self, he says 10%. So there's obviously variations of what this could look like. There's a classic budgeting approach that is 50, 30, 20. 50% is fixed expenses, 30 is like variable.
Yeah, I was going to say discretionary and then 20 is future you.
Yeah, so like roughly about that. But this is how I've kind of set up my buckets with my bank accounts and try to like do it ongoing. So it could be things like you then want to increase your KiwiSaver contributions to 10% to get that 10% and make sure that it's always doing it. And then you can save outside of that and then,
I need to do this. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I've got fixed expenses. We've technically got the guilt-free spending thing set up, but that's currently absolutely not working because Luke and I are meant to be using our ASB accounts for that. Yeah. But he's currently using his ASB account for an entirely separate purpose. So then he just uses our fixed expenses expenses like
For other
Westpac's
stuff.
primary account to then fund like coffees and clothes and other stuff, which then I sort of am as well because I get money sent to my ASB and then I just send it back to Westpac, and it's like
Sounds like you need to consolidate.
I know we do need to consolidate, but it's also a future me problem because currently I reckon we're like long on short-term savings because of course we've been putting extra cash towards this upcoming holiday for expenditure, and we're basically doing nothing in long-term investments outside of KiwiSaver. So I feel like this is maybe not something I'm going to achieve in Money Month, but probably when I come back from
maybe
holidays.
you can check in.
Like
you can restructure it,
October.
but maybe not follow it until October.
But we have actually talked about recently, we were like, we should just do a sense check of basically going through 6 months of expenditure and seeing how much we're actually spending on things like groceries and some of that, like, you know, utilities, regular bills, that kind of thing, to get a sense of that. We haven't done that in a while. So we've both bought in to agreeing to do that.
Nice.
But I think, you know, a week out from holidays, we're also
Probably
like,
not a good
no,
Let's
now
do
is
it
not the
after.
time. Now is not the time.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I literally made that same promise to myself on the back of the
Okay.
holiday where I was like, I'm going to start tracking my expenses every week because I've never done it
Okay.
that granular, and I think I kind of need to because
How are you doing it?
well, I haven't started yet, but because
But
I'm
what
on
are
week
you
one.
going to use like some software? Or
No,
are
I
you
think I'm just going to
gonna-
create my own spreadsheet and take my bank feed and literally go through every expense for that week and just say, am I roughly following this?
just do
or-
like an export into Excel and categorize it.
Yeah, basically, because I think it's the clarity piece.
I also want to do this, but my prohibiting factor is I don't know my password to log into internet banking on my computer.
Okay, well that isn't easily solved. Is
it though? Is it?
Surely you can't you just reset your
I
password?
don't think you can reset your password online.
Oh.
I'm sure some listeners are going to be like, Kate, you're an idiot. But but I have like a
Anyone
pin,
who works
I
at a
have the
bank.
PIN code and face recognition set up on my phone. So I can access it on the app, but then you can't do the Excel downloads that you can do on desktop.
Right.
This really speaks to why people don't take action.
Yeah. So don't be cat.
Don't be
But
me.
don't do this. Push through the banking guardrails. I don't know.
Yeah. Don't buy into my excuses either, people. Please don't. Okay, so
yeah,
you're
so
going to
clarity.
report back,
Yep.
post my holiday and tell me that you've been doing this and then
Yeah.
inspire me to do it.
That
That's
sounds
what I'm
good.
taking
Yeah,
from
I will
this
do
situation.
that. I'll say, am I
Wonderful.
following these buckets or not?
Right.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I've definitely gone
Okay.
rogue recently, but that's right. Okay, so number 3 is sell some stuff. So if you are potentially listening and you're like, hey, I don't have a lot of disposable income at the moment, you know, times are a bit tough, totally hear you. Perhaps there's an opportunity or you can take some action around, you know, creating some disposable income. So that could be literally like selling things that you don't use in your house. So before we talked about assets like, you know, bike or an e-scooter. I have an e-scooter sitting at home that I'm probably going to sell because I never actually use it. So that's a great example.
Shortest history of an e-scooter.
Hey, well,
Why don't
Yeah.
you keep it until summer? We're just taking a tangent here.
Yeah,
But why
that's
don't you
right.
keep it till summer and
Well-
see if it gets a higher use?
I think I'm just traumatized from like crashing into someone.
Okay.
That's what happened for the listeners of the
You
pod. I
need
was-
to get back on the bike.
Oh, I'm just
Literally.
like, I'm that person riding on the street in my scooter, like that gets shamed for bumping into people. So now I'm
think
just
you'll
like,
be
no, I
fine.
need to
I
sell
think
it.
you could definitely. I feel like it'll be a game changer in summer though.
Yeah,
for
probably.
work.
Yeah, probably.
You know.
Yeah, it does save me a lot of money on Ubers
Well, there you
because
go.
it was like $300 to buy or something.
Okay.
I reckon my cost per use is very low.
Okay.
So, but yeah. Anyway, that was an
potentially.
example of what
Okay.
you could be selling.
Sure,
I've also
sure.
recently discovered Facebook Marketplace. So another one could be selling
great.
books. Books you don't read for $5 each. If you have
That's
5 of them,
great
you know, like
shout.
that's your coffee for the
I've
week.
not even thought about books. I've got a lot
Yeah.
of books.
Yeah,
That I'm like,
get on
you
it.
know what? I probably won't read this again, but I feel bad throwing it out.
Exactly.
Or like giving it away.
Yeah. And it's also, I think the bar with Facebook Marketplace, obviously it's a little bit
Yeah.
less regulated than things like Trade Me, is that the bar with like imagery and how it looks is so much lower.
Yes.
So it's so
have
much
also
easier to
learnt
chuck it on there.
Very quickly, because
Yeah.
I've been telling you news to listen to this pod. I've also been really challenging myself to sell some stuff because
yeah, nice.
we've definitely got way too much stuff in our house. But that's not also the driving factor. The driving factor is I wanted to buy
Clutter.
some clothes for an upcoming holiday, and I felt guilty about this because I was like, Kat, you've got a lot of clothes. Like, is this really necessary? You know?
Yeah.
But yes, it is because I don't have any shorts. So
And you're going to summer.
yeah, but I was like, times are tough. Gotta, you know, it's
Yeah.
like a 1 in 1 out kind of policy.
Yeah.
And so I really
Yeah.
challenged myself to go and find some stuff in our house that I was holding on to for just unnecessary emotional reasons and
Like
put them
what?
on
What did you
Facebook
sell?
Marketplace. So I sold a pair of gumboots that we got given for Lily that were brand new that she outgrew before she could ever actually wear.
Use, yeah.
And so I sold them.
Cute.
We sold some accessories that we had for our pram that we don't need and don't use anymore.
Nice.
Sold some extra like high value, good quality, either barely worn or like brand new stuff for Lily, which I had trying to rationalize holding on to in case we have another kid. But then I'm also like, okay, what are the chances it's going to be a girl? These are all pink items. And also that might happen in like a year from now. I want money in the bank yesterday. Like, it was just a real like.
Also, you can buy secondhand.
Yes. I was just like, this is kind of ridiculous in some ways. So there's been a bit of that. Then I've also done a bulk of her clothes because I feel pretty good about like giving stuff to the salvos and that kind of thing that I kind of enjoy that. But then I was like, okay, there's probably some really good clothes in here that I shouldn't do that for. I should just make an effort to try and sell and do the bulk lots where like there's like 5 secondhand t-shirts and you sell them for $20.
Yeah.
Like great, easy, happy days. So there's that. But I've also been pondering selling a handbag, which I'm still on the fence about because that would be a bigger ticket item.
Are you going to like, where do you sell that? Through
I'm actually not sure. I would possibly sell it on one of the other kind of marketplacey,
like designer wardrobe or something.
Yeah, designer wardrobe potentially. Yeah. And then also really made me look into like my clothes. There are a few dresses that I'd been holding on to that are really nice, like labels that I'm like, I would be happy to accept $50.
Really?
Well, yeah.
How much do you buy it for?
Oh,
this is a good debate because it's like, how do you decide what
so
to
this is the challenge, right? Their dresses, like one of them's a Zimmermann dress. That's an expensive brand. I probably bought it for over 500 Australian dollars a couple of years ago, but it's a timeless style and it's beautiful for summer and it's linen and lovely quality, but it doesn't really fit me anymore. And also I don't really have the events for it. Yeah. And it's been sitting in my wardrobe, literally. It's been sitting in my wardrobe just waiting to make a comeback. And then I think the realization was I tried it on in preparation for going on this holiday because I thought maybe I could wear it to the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And it just was like now that I'm in my mid-30s, it's like just a little bit too short. And also like my body shape has changed post having a kid. And I was like, can't just check yourself.
Just let it go.
Yeah, let it go. Like, and so then this is where my brain comes in. It's the sunk cost thing. Like the cost of purchase was irrelevant because I've enjoyed it and had lots of nice wear out of it. And for me, I'm like, it's either getting me $0 and sitting in my wardrobe or it could get me whatever I'm willing to accept for it. So my bar's actually pretty low for that kind of stuff because I look at it, I'm like, I'd be stoked with $100.
Yeah.
But I'd actually just flog it for $50 because it's $50.
So if anyone needs a dress.
Yeah, I've got a few things. Slide into the DMs. Like I've got 2 beautiful pairs of jeans, one which is basically brand new that again I've been holding on for hoping that I can fit back into, and then I put them on the other day and I was like, okay, I can squeeze into this, but it's not comfortable and this is ridiculous.
Not an
and like
experience.
I should just sell these. And again, I'm like, I'd probably sell them for $25 each.
Yeah.
You know,
but also
they're like just $400 jeans.
Yeah. I mean, you've just made $100 between those 3 things.
Correct.
Yeah.
So my current theory is like go low. Another thing I have learned though in real time on Facebook Marketplace is everybody lowballs you. So I wasn't prepared for that.
Yes. Oh my God.
That's quite interesting. For
they
now,
do design a wardrobe too though. You can counter.
Okay. Yep. So for now I have just opted for Facebook Marketplace, but I think for some items, if I don't have success there, I will list them on Trade Me because I feel like on Trade Me you can be a little bit more like
savage.
It's just being listed at this price, and if someone wants to buy it, I'll just roll the listing over.
Yeah.
Whereas interestingly enough, it's also that thing of like I listed say like 4 items for Lily. I got a ton of like lowball offers and I was like, oh, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll engage with some. Started doing that. And then a couple of people came through and they were like, I want this, and didn't even question it on price. Yeah. And I was like, see ya. These other people like mid-combo. I'm like, I don't know you anything. I'm selling it to this person. But it was exactly that thing of with 2 of the items specifically, these people really needed them for a set purpose. And so they were just going to pay
the amount
what was asking. And so I'm like, I think there's power in kind of maybe holding out a little bit or potentially listing at a point a little bit higher than what you're willing to accept. Or like,
the low
so that
point,
then you
can
know
go down.
that. Exactly.
I was this person that like tried to go in lowball the other day because
How did that be received?
Well, I mean, he was actually like tried to negotiate and was like, so we want to upgrade our dining table and chairs just because we hate them and they're like never really invested in them. And so I found this like set on Facebook Marketplace with the table and chairs full thing.
Yep.
And it was listed for $750 and I was like, cool, $600.
Yeah.
And
how did that go?
He replied and was like, would you take $700 because I've got 2 other people that are willing to pay or like have come slide into the DMs too. And then I was like, no. So then I just like let it go.
was it.
And then he sold it like 5 minutes later. So I'm
Which
like,
is fine.
I think you just have to be willing to like, you know, there'll be more that come kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. You're either willing to pay or you're not.
Yeah. On that though, also I'm trying to sell some clothes on Designer Wardrobe and I've relisted these couple things 3 times because I'm just not willing to go below a certain amount and people just so lowball you. And I'm like, no, like this is basically brand new and it's still trending. Don't even try it. But then you get to a point where you're like, how much do I actually just want to let go of this and just take the money and do something, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah. I might just have to lower my
it
price.
just goes back to what's that lovely saying? It's like a bird in the hand is worth more than. Have you not ever heard this?
No.
Oh my God, I'm
what
going
is
to Google
this?
it. Hey, the standby listeners. You'll be like, what the fuck is this? A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
What?
So it's like the bird that you have in your hand that you've caught is worth 2 that you can hear in the bush that you don't know if you can catch.
This is such a rogue saying.
Right?
I've never heard this.
Have you actually not?
Is this an Australian thing?
I don't know. So it's not Australian. I actually think it comes from England.
Oh.
But it's trying to say that you should not risk losing something you already have by trying to get something better.
Oh, so it's like opportunity. Like the grass is greener.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Yeah,
Which is also that kind of thing of it's like, okay, even if someone's lowballing you, you've got that offer right now.
Yeah.
You're just hoping that you're going to get a better offer next week, but you don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
Catch-22.
This is perfect for money though.
It is.
In terms of like there's so many different avenues you could take and how do you decide one over the other, you know.
Exactly. I think this also then comes back to like whenever Luke and I have sold like much bigger ticket items like a car or a house.
Yeah.
You know, you have
a house.
a house, big ticket item. We always set 3 prices. I think I might have talked about this before. We set 3 prices. It'll be like the price that you're happy with, which is the middle price, your stoked price, which you like hopes and dreams you get, but also you're kind of realistic about the fact that you might not get.
Yeah.
And then your price that you would still accept, but you'd be a bit disappointed in. So it's like you're just mentally preparing yourself for all 3 eventualities.
Scenarios,
Now, you probably don't want to do that every time you're listing a book on Facebook Marketplace because that feels like
$5,
much too much.
$7 or $10.
But I guess it's like, you know, if you're undertaking this exercise, because we've got some stuff. I was also just thinking now that I've down this rabbit hole, mate, we've got a dryer that we have to sell. And Luke was like, don't sell it. It's too much effort. I'm like, babe, it'll cost us $40 to take it to the tip.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
And also it's the life admin of then if we probably wouldn't take it to the tip because that's a bit savage. We'd probably take it to like the salvos so that someone could have it for free.
Yeah.
But you have to go and do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'd list it on Facebook Marketplace for like $20.
Yeah.
I'm basically paying
$20.
them.
I feel like okay, here, I have a saying for you.
Okay.
One person's rubbish is another's treasure.
That's a podcast about sayings.
It's true though, right? That's literally
It's
it.
so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man,
anyway,
what a
okay.
tangent.
Check back in, guys. Selling stuff is a journey.
Yeah.
We probably need a whole separate episode on this. But it really does remind me of that marketing campaign that I'm pretty sure it was Trade Me ran like about a year ago. Basically, when they did the numbers, it was like every Kiwi has something like $5,000 worth of stuff in their house that they could sell if they needed to. Yeah. And so it's like, come on, challenge yourself. I had challenged myself to get $1,000.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm probably
how you going? Like $20.
I reckon I'm at like 140. So I've got a way to go. Okay. But in my defense, I haven't put any of the big ticket items up yet.
Well, what? Okay. Like the dryer.
We've got the dryer. We've got an outdoor bar cart that I just need to zhuzh up that I could probably get like $200 for.
I might be in the market for one of those.
Sweet.
Yep.
I mean, fuck you.
We'll take this offline.
You're going to lowball me.
Yeah, $20.
Literally, you know my weaknesses. I'm like, at this point, take it for free.
Like,
just take it. Just take it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm aiming to get to $1,000. I'm not going to do that before the end of money month, team, because I've got 9 days before I go on holiday.
Yeah, true.
You know, but
You could do
let's
it like,
check back in.
I can see the listing. Must sell like in caps. Going on holiday. Pick it up on Friday.
Literally. Oh my God, literally. Our
funny.
poor house sitter will just be like meeting with random people on Facebook whilst we're away because I'm like, I hate someone's coming for this pickup. Also, there's that Luke freaking hates me at the moment because I'll be texting him being like, hi, such and such is coming at this time. And he's like, I'm not home then. I'm like, well, be home. Make yourself available.
They're coming anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Okay. Tip number 4.
Yeah. Tell me.
Is pay yourself first next paycheck. So
Can I pay myself all my money? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
How does this
You're
work?
like, isn't that the purpose of a paycheck?
Yeah.
So the idea of pay yourself first is that you pay like or set money aside for future you before you pay for your other expenses. So coming back to the buckets that we mentioned before, an example could be that, okay, you've decided that 10% of your paycheck you want to put towards future you. So money hits your bank account, you figure out what 10% of your paycheck is, that goes out straight away, and then you break down the rest for fixed income
stuff.
and But I also want to like caveat that in order to be able to do that, you do need to have an element of disposable income in your income, and so you know maybe that's not completely achievable for everyone right now.
And you need to have a view of your balance sheet, right? Because it's like your pay yourself first version. If your balance sheet is in the red and you have things like personal debts or credit cards that you're focusing on, then your pay yourself first is not you being able to go out for brunch on the weekend.
No.
It's you directing that money towards like getting that
savings or something.
Yes, exactly, to a neutral position so that then you can start moving forward as opposed to just being like, I get to enjoy 10% of my money all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to do the hard work before you get to that point, right?
Exactly. And also, I think it's all about discipline, I think, like, and setting up the structures that when the money hits your bank account, you've got an AP set up that can then automatically take it out. Something that I also like, a mindset piece that was really important for me when I first started doing that is understanding that every paycheck is an opportunity to restart. So like
Talk to me about that.
if you have guilt about the way that you spent or something that you did last paycheck, it's a clean slate, this one. So try to like start again, try to think about what you can do differently, how you might approach it in a different way, or, try a different amount on this thing, or, so that was.
This makes me think that in order to leverage off that mindset, it would potentially be quite important to not run your cash flow on credit cards, because you know how oftentimes there are people that, run everything through a credit card and then when they get paid, they pay off the credit card. And with that, you're basically forever like retrospectively looking at what you did do right, because you're taking your money that you get today and paying off things that you spent in the last 2 weeks, for example. And that might be quite hard, because then I'm like, I can totally foresee how you would then with that live in a bit of a place of like burden.
I'm never
guilt,
keeping up kind of.
or just like constant reminder of like, oh God, I did do that in the last fortnight. And and it's like, if that from a psychology point of view is affecting you and how you run your day-to-day money, perhaps thinking about moving away from tools like credit cards or overdrafts and trying to set up more like bucketing systems so that you have access to cash in different accounts, spending on debit.
Yeah, nice.
Key to success.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Also, really just side caveat, really weigh up whether those points of the credit card are worth it. Versus like the mental burden. For me, it just isn't. But Ollie froths credit card points.
I am, as you know, on a bandwagon to get gold status at Air New Zealand, but not enough of a bandwagon to make me sign up for a credit card. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. You know what? I can live with being silver.
And I'll just join the plebs like me and that don't even have a status. Who don't travel enough. Anyway,
exactly. Okay, point number 5.
Yeah.
Because this is accessible for everybody.
Yes.
Very important.
Yeah. Check where your KiwiSaver balance is and which fund you're in. So you obviously also need to check whether you are in a KiwiSaver scheme or not. So how do we do that? Really simple. Go to Google My IR, which is your login to the IRD.
Yep.
So
if you don't have a login, like if you Google that and you don't have a login, get yourself set up, people. I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're probably relatively technically enabled. So please, like register with RealMe, register with MyIR.
Yep.
It's really powerful to get better information. No one wants to call the IRD anyway these days. You can just message them on the website.
Exactly. And if you're paying tax in New Zealand, you will have an IRD number and therefore you will be able to create an account and or log in.
Yes,
so
exactly.
it's not that it doesn't apply to you unless you are not paying tax in New Zealand.
Yep.
But then maybe you're in
So
edge case.
Google it, log in, then what?
Oh, yes. And then, that part.
and then what happens?
And then we exit.
Yeah.
So once you open your account, it will then, it kind of layers out your financial picture and to a certain degree. So it'll show your student loan, your KiwiSaver scheme, or whether you are a member of a specific scheme. And then also it'll show you the scheme that you're a part of. So you can then click into that. You'll see the provider's information. Then we, from there, would suggest logging into your account with that provider to see which KiwiSaver fund you're in.
Yep.
And then, or get in touch with them to also figure out how do you open your account or log into your account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually through MyIR, when you go into your KiwiSaver section, there's a little click button that says scheme provider details. And if you click into that, it will give you the name of your scheme provider. It'll provide you a direct link out to their website, and it'll also give you their phone number. So if you don't know how to log in or you don't believe you have access directly, I would just jump on the phone straight away whilst you're logged into MyIR, because then you can quote your IRD number, which is the easiest way for that provider to find your account, because that's unique to you and that's also unique to your KiwiSaver. Yep. And you've got that when you're in MyIR, and then they can go through basically like a password reset process or an account creation process for like online access. And then that's where you can then obviously log in and check on the fund details that I assume you're about to talk about.
Yes, nice.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. I was also just going to say, a lot of the times we have people asking about for a summary of their contributions. This is where you'll also find that. So if you want to understand how much money you've contributed to your KiwiSaver in order to get the government contribution, this is the place to do that as well.
Yes.
Yep. Love it. So then if you go to the provider that you are with, let's say you log in, I'm just going to use Kernel as an example. I'm logged now into it. I literally go to KiwiSaver and I can see that I am invested in the high growth fund. So, and then
there are some links either through the actual account or kind of dashboard you're on that you could click into to actually investigate what's in that fund.
Yes.
Or if there wasn't information available on the account, you could then though use that fund information and that fund's name to go and find like what's called a fact sheet or a fund update on the provider's website in relation to the KiwiSaver fund that you're specifically in.
Yeah,
you can also, shout out to Sorted, look up the fund on the Sorted website.
Yeah. Love that. The next question then is, well, how do I know I'm in the right fund for my position?
Walk on over to Sorted, and by walk I mean just use the internet.
Yeah, so that was literally it.
That's
it's like
it.
Google Sorted, and they have some really great guides and calculators where you can literally put in how old are you, like what's your goal, timeline, appetite for risk, and then it will spit out kind of like a risk range of the fund, and then you can figure out with that provider or another provider, do they have a fund that is suitable for your goals, timeline, risk, appetite? And then I think it's also really important to understand, to your point, what that fund is invested in and whether that closely aligns to where you want to be going.
Love this.
Yes.
Love this. Oh, it's such a fun time.
It is.
I actually love it. I was just thinking because as we were talking about this, I was like, I'm just going to log in, and it's auto-logged me into Luke's because he's obviously logged in and saved his password. But as a really interesting side note, the whole topic about like you can send messages to the IRD and they can send messages to you through MyIR, which is way more helpful because no one wants to be on hold to them. And it gives you alerts. And he had a little alert basically being like, hi, we've sent you a message. And I was like, I'll read what this message is. And what had happened was, because he's an airline pilot, I think I had told you about this a little while ago, he was pinged as leaving the country.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
A number of months ago, and because of some of the technicalities of how he sometimes leaves the country as a passenger and returns into the country as operating crew. When you return an operating crew, you don't get flagged at the border. It's a different type of like categorization. But when he had left as a passenger for work and then returned as operating crew, basically what had happened is they just assume that he's leaving the country because there's no differentiation on that. And then he's not ever returned to the country as a passenger because he's always returned for work. And the IRD messaged him saying, hey, we're actually tagging you as being out of the country and we're going to start applying interest on your student loan. Now, that wouldn't be fantastic if he didn't have access to my IR, and we probably didn't know about that.
That would also just be so painful to unravel.
Right.
Yeah.
And so happy days, they've sent him a message and he has replied being like, hi, this is my situation. And they've replied being like, cool, that's noted in the system. Happy days.
Yeah. That's so good.
I mean, I feel like no one ever deserves a shout out to the IRD, but
here it is. Yeah.
Here it is.
Well, I also just had an alert that was saying like we've seen an unusual login.
Oh.
So which is me logging in right now on a different computer. But
Also, they give you the alerts
good
about
security.
It is. They give you the alerts about like, hey, you should do your tax now.
True. Yeah.
You can file your return.
Yeah.
Or like, here's
Your
this thing for you.
password has changed.
I
whatever.
know.
Yeah. Yes. So good.
God,
Love
this-
technology.
This took a lot of turns.
Yeah.
I feel like, is this a common thread with us?
Yeah.
Is this how this works?
We got there.
We did get there. All right. Well, money month.
Yes. Well, I would just love to also hear any other simple tips that people have to take action on things that they're
yes.
doing this month or just in general in life
Yes.
to improve their money situation.
Love
Please
this.
DM us at It's No Secret NZ. We're manning the messages and we do
We want to hear from
reply.
you. We want to hear from you.
We promise.
What hot tips have you got? I need
Yeah.
them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
God, that was so rude. Because you just I know, I do need them. I do need them. I've been banging on about this forever. I'm like,
I'm just trying to hold you accountable to
I
your
need a
excuses,
financial
okay?
intervention. I get it. Okay, fine. Check back in. I'm going to
We're
say
gonna
first,
have words
1st
later.
of October because I don't feel like I can repair in September post holiday. So we're coming in hot for October. Okay.
Okay, good.
Great.
We've got
We'll have a money
kind of a
moments
New
chat.
Year's resolution in October. Anyway, thanks for listening.
See you on the gram. Thanks for listening. Yep.
Okay,
Great.
bye.